Bloodborne is From Software's fourth game after Demon's Souls' release in 2009, and it is a Lovecraftian masterpiece set in the fictional town of 𝔅𝔠𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢. 𝔅𝔠𝔬𝔬 is the game's main location, and when we start the game, it is plagued with a blood-borne disease that is transforming the townspeople into blood-starved wolves and monsters. We, the hunter, are tasked with exploring the world after being injected with blood that transforms us into a creature that is human, but not quite, and killing the inhabitants that are after us. With this explanation, we arrive at Chapter 1. Bloodborne is a game where all the events unfold in one day, similar to the Arkham games. The game can be broken into three basic stages: evening, night, and blood moon. In this first chapter, we are confronted with two basic bosses, the Cleric Beast and Father Gascoigne. As the Cleric Beast is a pretty insignificant boss, I shall replace this segment with explaining the environment and locale. The game's first stage takes place in 𝔅𝔠𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢, and it is one of my favorites. In this level, we are faced with general enemies and a very fair experience. The town is riddled with enemies and destruction. The scenery is quite beautiful, and it has several characters that are memorable, such as the old ladies, Father Gascoigne's daughter, and interesting monsters such as the pig, the fat man, and the townspeople. Now with that over, we move on to the final boss of this stage, which is Father Gascoigne. I'd say that Father Gascoigne's character is pretty tragic and well written. Gascoigne is a character who lost his entire family and is transformed into a monster by the disease. He's a pretty low level boss and quite an enjoyable one, but after his defeat, we commence into Chapter 2. After we kill Father Gascoigne, we move into the Cathedral Ward, where we are tasked with killing two more bosses, Blood-Starved Beast and 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢. I end up going for 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡 first because I was having a rough time with Blood-Starved Beast, and 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔬𝔫 is one of the two bosses I cheesed in this game. And no, I'm not proud of it.
Hey guys, so you know it can't be a Captain Robert 007 production if I don't cheese at least one boss fight.
After 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔬𝔫, I went to the Blood-Starved Beast for the Chalice so that I can do the Blood Echoes exploit. Look, okay, it was tempting. Anyways, with all that being said, this is a pretty short chapter, but I think the gothic aesthetic in this level is truly something else, and not that this matters, but I personally really enjoyed the scenery here. Regardless, we move into Chapter 3. Although the rest of the bosses are all in this part, I will split it into another chapter, so for this segment I fought the Shadow of 𝔅𝔠𝔬𝔬𝔡, Rom, and the One Reborn. Of this catalog, this is the last boss I cheese, which is the Shadows of 𝔅𝔠𝔬𝔬𝔡. The Shadow of 𝔅𝔠𝔬𝔬𝔡 comes after the obligatory swamp level that comes with every FromSoft title, and it is well executed because the environment in this stage is appalling. The greenery feels similar to our world, but of course, you know something is horribly wrong. If it's not from the monsters, it's from the lamps, the structures, the remnant of a people now turned mad. Without further ado, the boss design is pretty cool, and this being FromSoft, it uses the common trope of using a boss as a common enemy later on. I can't tell you much about the fight since I did an AI glitch, and I promise this is the last time. I think the boss here doesn't have much to offer unlike the next boss. I go on to one of the best boss fights I had in this game, Rom, and it was perfectly matched with me using every single one of my blood vials and oh, I lost the footage. I was really mad about this, but it actually gives me time to talk about the scenery and the story. At this point in the game, we are transitioning to the Blood Moon. We are at the halfway point, and it is beautifully executed and shown with the stunning visual of the red moon and the woman in bride's dress. This boss to me truly shows the brutality of this world and the curse that is the new blood. But with all that being said, we now move on to the One Reborn. The One Reborn is the first boss, which shows that there is something terribly wrong, and that this goes beyond a simple plague that transforms people into bloodthirsty wolves, but rather something more sinister and vile, and this is where the Lovecraftian aspect really shines through, with the boss resembling something that you would see from a Dark Souls game more than anything you've seen thus far. While we had hints like 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢 and Father Gascoigne, the plague is something completely different to anything we had seen up to that point. Regardless, the boss arena is pretty good, with people at the top shooting fireballs at you, while the monstrous creature simply screams and screeches while throwing projectile attacks. I'm proud to say I beat this boss first try, and it was quite the challenge, with me using every blood vial I had. Overall, I'd say this is one of the better bosses of the game, up there with 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢 and Rom. Despite my love of this chapter, we must move on to the fourth one. In this chapter, we are faced with 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢, 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢 and 𝔅𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢. right off the bat, we start this last chapter with a nightmare locale that's full of skulls, blood, and monsters. But I'd say that rather than that being the true spectacle of this chapter, I'd say it's the Gothic style castle in which 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢 and 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔯𝔫𝔢 lie. First, let's start with 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔬𝔡. 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡 is honestly one of the more annoying bosses of the game due to his unfair and cheap attacks. 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡 was a student of Lawrence, I believe, and it's fair to say he fights dirty, so I just kept sticking him with poison knives. After him, we are quickly met with 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔬𝔡, and since she's so close to 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡, there's not really much to say about the scenery or environment, so I'll move on to her as a boss. I'll say that 𝔅𝔩𝔬𝔬𝔡𝔟𝔬𝔬𝔡 is one of the fair bosses in my opinion, with her attacks doing fair damage. They aren't overly quick, but they can still get you, and she has a challenging stage when she does her shadow clone jutsu. It's practically just running for your life, more than fighting her at that point, but it's overall great. Now, onto the final boss, Gehrman. I chose the submit ending.
No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
The thing that I saw with Bloodborne is that the world is very dark, and there's really no hope. So I saw Gehrman being the first hunter and all. I chose to just bend the knee to him in the beautiful final arena. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the hub. Bloodborne was a very enjoyable experience with lively characters that are well written and tragic. The world building is immaculate and impressive, and the scale of Yharnam is truly something to ponder over. I found this to be a very good experience, and I rate it among one of my favorite FromSoft titles and give it a 10 out of 10 easily on any day. I should probably also mention that it has a hub that easily competes with every other hub area in the Souls games, with the abandoned doll, the bath areas, and the fact that since the beginning, Gehrman is there. I think that this area is beautiful, and it tying into the very finale is wonderful writing. I truly enjoyed this journey, and I hope you do too. If you guys enjoyed this video and want me to get another ending and play the DLC, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment to let me know. Although I have done videos like this before, I chose a more cinematic and professional approach to this project, and if you liked it and want more for the rest of my FromSoft videos, let me know in the comments as well. But for now, thank you, and have a blessed day.